Daggerheart is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game developed by Darrington Press, the publishing studio behind Critical Role's growing line of TTRPG content. The lead game designer is Spencer Stark, and this set retails for $60 in the US. Before diving into my impressions about Daggerheart, I want to thank Darrington Press for providing me with a copy of the game. I want to say up front, though, that I was hesitant in accepting a copy to review. I have no issue with the Critical Role show, but I haven't been particularly wowed by their print products. Books like Explorer's Guide to Wildermount and Call of the Netherdeep are sadly forgettable. Candela Obscura, their horror role-playing game which I bought and read, didn't really click with me. And I love horror games, but I'd rather reach for something like Bison or Call of Cthulhu instead. Fortunately for you, that my curiosity and my love for books swayed me to check this out despite my reservations. And wow, I'm so glad I said yes. Daggerheart is gorgeous. The art direction by Anthony Jonas and Lisa Hannigan is stunning. Every page is visually rich, with excellent layout and illustrations that fuel your imagination. The art reminded me when I used to love looking at the chapter dividers that came in the Dungeons & Dragons Monster Compendium, and imagining the stories that took place within. The core rulebook is roughly 360 pages long, which functions as a player's handbook, dungeon master's guide, and bestiary all in one. Also included in this set is a wonderful collection of cards, which I'll touch on shortly. This book was surprisingly a fast read. The information in this book was clear and straight to the point. The rules mechanics sections, particularly the parts about mechanics, skills, and saving throws, were easy to understand, but to be fair, I'm not sure if it's because of the language or because the rules were borrowed from many different sources. On page 6, you'll find a section thanking the games and companies that inspired the Daggerheart's rules set, including Dungeons & Dragons, the Genesis system from Fantasy Flight, Pathfinder, and Blaze in the Dark. If you are familiar with these systems, you can see their influences quickly, but if you aren't familiar, it won't impede you in any way. The game uses an innovative dice system. Players roll 2d12s. One d12 stands for hope, and the other for fear. The GM rolls a d20, which might be the first game I could think of where players and the game master roll different dice. You're aiming to beat a target number, but whichever of your d12s rolls higher, hope or fear, influences the game's narrative and generates either bonuses or complications. If the fear die is higher, it grants the GM dread currency to increase tension, empower enemies, or create setbacks. Anyone who has used the Genesis rule system or Modificus 2d20 system will be familiar with that concept, and it is a cool way of blending narrative consequences and rule mechanics. As for character creation, you can choose from 9 core classes, each with 2 subclasses, giving you 18 unique options. Some of these classes you've heard before, like the Bard, the Druid, the Ranger, etc., but there are a few new ones like the Seraph. You have 18 ancestries to choose from as well. Again, there are some familiar ones like the Elf, the Dwarf, Dragonfolk, but there are some fresh additions you don't usually see in a core rulebook, like the Clanks, which are robots, Simias, which are monkey folk, and Fungrels, which are mushroom people. One of my favorite things about Daggerheart is that you can detach your ancestry from your cultural origin. Your dwarf doesn't have to come from below the earth or deep in the mountains. Your dwarf can hail from the skies or be raised near the seas. The game encourages creative combinations that break away from fantasy stereotypes so you can build your own unique backstory for your character. Now about these cards. They are great for quickly referencing powers and abilities without players flipping through the book to find what these abilities do and slowing down your game. I love the case that it comes with to help store your cards, and there are printable versions of these cards online. The game also includes thoughtful sections on inclusivity, such as how to respectfully play characters with disabilities, as well as advice on narrative tone and group safety. The GM section walks you through how to run the game, manage strict currency, educate dice rolls, and build adventures. The bestiary is organized efficiently. I do like how all the monsters' information can be designed to fit in the size of an index card. I can easily copy down what I need or print it. What really stands out to me is the inclusion of mini adventures in the setting chapter. A game master can use these to prep a session within an hour, and if you were to run a game every week, there's enough adventures and information to run a game for many months. That's a great value. Everything you need to run Daggerheart from beginning to end is in this set. So, would this be a game I would recommend to you? Well, I think honestly people have such strong feelings about Critical Role. If you're a fan, you're going to buy this book no matter what. And if you aren't a fan, well, I'm impressed you made it this far in the video. But if Critical Role wasn't involved though, would this stand on its own? There are so many fantasy tabletop games. From the top of my head, there's The Land of Een, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Shadowdark, Old School Essentials, Pathfinder, The One Ring, Dragonbane, and of course, Dungeons and Dragons. I definitely like this book more than Candela Obscura, and I'm happy to have this in my collection to hopefully one day try it out with a group that's inspired by what they have seen on Critical Role. At least Daggerheart doesn't feel like another Dungeons and Dragons clone. In fact, it feels like a spiritual evolution of what Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition should become now. Although I like the design and art of Dungeons & Dragons 5.5 or 2024, reading Daggerheart was much more enjoyable. Again, for $60 you get everything you need to play. I wish the rule system was a bit more original than a Frankenstein of other systems. Hopefully a second edition of Daggerheart one day will head in that direction. If you played or read the core rulebook for Daggerheart, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.